ladies and gentlemen. Start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of this wonderful place we call home. Now, verily, that's the Iwi people who represent a human occupation dating back about 60,000 years. So as we come together as a council and every time we're together as a community, we pay our respects to the elders, past, present, and those emerging. So welcome to our online audience. This meeting is being streamed live and recorded in accordance with the council's standing orders. I hope yes, they're all there. Very good. And welcome to the members of the public gallery. We're required to tell you that by being here, you are also consenting to your voice and images being recorded and published in accordance with the council's standing orders. We're also required to tell you that you may be subject to legal action if your actions or comments are deemed inappropriate or unacceptable. So thanks very much. I declare the meeting open. And apologies, we have a leave of absence. Oh, yes, sorry, David. From the Salvation Army to lead us in prayer today. David Dobby, thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. So if I may, just for a small amount of time, I just wanted to acknowledge that the season that we've just come through Easter. And in some way, we've all celebrated, whether it be some days off or maybe attending church. For the church especially, Easter is a special time because we consider the life, the death and resurrection of Jesus. And we acknowledge his leadership. And today I just wanted to, before I pray, just say and acknowledging that we're all leaders in this space. I just want to acknowledge four leadership qualities that Jesus had. Jesus led from the inside out. He led with the character of integrity. And without integrity, no one will ever follow. And if no one is following, then we're not leading. He was a great storyteller. Stories that are still being told today. Great leaders are great servants. Leadership is all about others, not us. And finally, great leaders balance conviction with compassion. Jesus held strong convictions and values while still showing tremendous compassion to others. Let's pray. Lord Jesus, I pray that you will guide our council today as they meet and discuss matters with regard to our great city and region. I pray that they shall choose to do what is moral and rational. Lord, today we ask that this team rely on your guidance and lead with your perfect example of leadership. I pray that the motivation in everything that is spoken about and addressed today will be for the good of the public and not their own. Lord, today we acknowledge the current issues in our region, things like homelessness, people struggling to feed themselves and their families, people struggling through life, individuals and families experiencing domestic violence, and the flow-on effect to our young people and our youth. Lord, we ask that today this team are sensitive to the needs of our community and that they lead with compassion. May they not just settle for the first response to these matters, but wrestle with good strategies and follow your principles of leadership. Lord, as they gather today, help this council to be competent and excellent in their governance, and may they lead like you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you. Thanks very much, David. Appreciate you being here. Acknowledge in the public gallery today former Mayor Deirdre Comfort. Deirdre, it's nice to have you in the council chambers today. Nobody absent on council business, so leave of absence requested for Councillor Green. Somebody like to move? Councillor May move, seconded by Councillor Mann. Those in favour? Any against? The motion is carried. Thank you. In condolences, can we lead the condolences today, councillors, with a sincere council condolence to Councillor Mann and her family for the passing of your mother, Mary Ford, on the 25th of March. We know that Mary and the family have been long-term residents of our valley before she retired down south, and business operators in the valley. And it was very, very sad to hear of her passing. And so, on behalf of the council, I extend our sincere condolences to you and the family, Councillor Mann. And is there anybody else like to say anything? I think we've all said it before, but yeah, we're certainly with you in this past couple of weeks. Has been very difficult. The further condolences, Councillor May.
Thank you very much, Worship. I'd like to move a condolence for Robin Pitcher, his wife Jan and the family that are left behind. Robin was an employee of the Serena Shire Council in the position of overseer for many, many years, and then became the works manager down there in Serena. When Robin retired, we actually got him back to assist with the rollout of our rural address numbering system in Serena. So Robin and another person took charge of that and rolled that out across the old Serena Shire. When Robin retired from his council duties, he set his mind to volunteering within the Serena community. He wanted to give back to a community that had been so very, very generous to him. And he took up a volunteering position at the Serena Museum, was there for many, many years, helped in the formation of the museum and the transformation of the museum into the old presbytery building that got moved down to the Field of Dreams. He also then volunteered at our Serena Sugar Shed and spent many, many years there. And people that know Robin would know that he was a great storyteller, and he was right in his element at the Serena Sugar Shed, talking to all of the tourists that come through, passing on the stories of the sugar industry, passing on the history of the Serena area. And the other formidable thing that Robin did was to be part of the steering committee that established the Community Bank Serena. Robin spent many months walking the pavement, raising pledges for the establishment of the community bank in Serena, him along with other people, not on his own, but along with a team of people. And they managed to raise around $750,000 in pledges in shares to establish the Community Bank Serena. And Robin went on then to be an inaugural director of the Community Bank in Serena. So he has been a great contributor to the Serena area, and we'd like to send our condolences to Jan and her family.
Thanks very much. Councillor May, are there further condolences? No further condolences? Conflicts of interest? Anybody got a conflict of interest? Okay. Councillor Seymour. Bring that mic right. Okay. Councillor
Three
Jones.
tenders for the mountain
Three
bike,
tenders
three
for the
tenders.
mountain bike,
Yes,
okay. Duly recorded. I'll ask you to step out then when those are up for discussion. No further conflicts of interest. The minutes of the meeting of the 22nd of March have been circulated. Would you like to move that we confirm the minutes? Councillor Jones moves, seconded by Councillor Bonaventura. Those in favour? Any against? Motion's carried. The business of items is included in the agenda items. There's only one. And no mayoral minutes today. The consideration of committee reports and recommendations. So the local disaster management group meeting, the minutes are up for adoption by the council. This was the meeting of the 6th of March. I think it's fairly well straightforward. Are there any questions? So we'd like to move. Councillor May moves, seconded by Councillor Anglin. Councillor May.
Thank you very much, Worship. I just really wanted to pull out the part of the Human and Social Recovery Group report. There's a couple of actions there to follow up on. We've been trying to investigate, I suppose, options for homelessness people in the case of a disaster, and we've been having some discussions with Canelands in regards to possible use of their car park as a shelter area. And we've also had some discussions with the RSPCA and Council Pound area to animal management area to look at how we may accommodate for animals in the case of an emergency. The other follow-up there is around making contact with Ipswich City Council, as we believe that they have some process in place that may assist us in that area. So there are a number of areas that we're keen to follow up on.
Thank you very much. Speaker against? Any other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried unanimously. 10.2, the draft minutes of the Visual Arts Advisory Committee meeting. And that meeting was held on the 20th of March. Would somebody like to, are there any questions first of all? No questions? Somebody like to move? Councillor Townsend moves, seconded by Councillor Jones. Councillor Townsend.
Thank you, Worship. A very productive meeting was held with the Visual Arts Advisory Committee on the 20th of March, with some fantastic and positive outcomes achieved on the day. The VAC are excited to announce the wonderful and generous donations from well-known artists, which will significantly strengthen Council's commitment of building the country's best holding of works by artists of national significance. Artist Davida Allen, whose work is currently on exhibition at Artspace, has offered a donation of 3 paintings from her personal collection, and the estimated value of this donation is $60,000. Artist Ron McBurney generously donated 54 items, comprising of both his own works and works by other artists from his own personal collection, and these were gifted through the Cultural Gifts program. I'd like to acknowledge the Visual Arts Committee, Advisory Committee Director and her talented staff. Over the years, they've built a strong and respectful relationship with artist Ron McBurney, and I believe that these wonderful donations have come as a result of the trust and professionalism that has been built up during this time. The Artspace exhibition team are busy preparing the final stages of the Fire and Ash wood-fire pottery for Arthur and Carol Rosier exhibition, which is opening on the 19th of May. Their works were inspired by the secluded rainforest pottery near the township of Youngler, and I did have a sneak peek earlier, and their beautifully crafted pottery is just amazing. A number of their ceramics on show are available for sale. I would like to think that I could take one home personally. It would depend on the price tag. The VAC also received a public art application from a local city centre business, Arcadia, who want to paint murals on the facades of their building that form part of 5th Lane. The business has permission from the building owner to paint the building, and funding will come from the business owners themselves, so no financial assistance from council is required. There has been consultation with the community, including the artists whose mural is being replaced and painted over. There has been an agreement, and a public art approval application is currently being processed. When received, the application will go through the usual channels before being sent to the VAC for comments and feedbacks. Finally, the VAC would like to recognise and acknowledge the significant contribution of one of our region's arts and culture industry by a very special woman. Kathy Knezevic was a past staff member of Artspace and the libraries, and later became a member of the Visual Arts Advisory Committee, serving on the committee for some 7 years. Her contributions also included securing the significant donation of some 300 items from printmaker Tate Adams for the Mackay Regional Art Collection on the opening of Artspace. Kathy was also instrumental in the development and growth of Mackay Regional Council's artist book collection. Sadly, Kathy passed away in August 22, and in recognition of her significant contribution to our committee, it was unanimously agreed, with Council's approval, to rename the Libris Awards to the Kathy Knezevic Regional Artists Book Prize. This will come into effect as of the next Libris Awards, which will be launched in 2024. A very fitting gesture to this amazing and talented woman whose contribution to the arts and cultural industry were immeasurable.
Thank you, Councillor Townsend. Speaker against? Any other speakers? The motion is that the minutes be received. Those in favour? Any against? Motion's carried. Thank you. Correspondence and officers' reports now. Office of the Mayor and CEO. CEO.
Thank you, Matt. March predominantly has seen the building and getting ready for our employee updates, which all councillors attended at some point, and it was a great opportunity to share with all staff throughout the organisation where we're currently at and where we're heading, and really leveraging on the opportunity for change in the future to ensure that Mackay Regional Council is prepared for the future, and that starts, of course, by streamlining the operations today. So it was great to be able to share that with all staff around what the vision is and the direction of and how we need to get there. There's also a large focus throughout March within safety, very much at the same rhetoric of the employee updates, in so much that really focusing the organisation on proactive measures to understand what we can change differently and how we might do that, rather than looking at the backwards looking data of things that have already occurred. So just starting to change the mindset of how we might capture and prevent things from ever happening in the first place. So it's been a great productive month of March, and looking forward to the next one. And just a note on the current operational report that we have, that'll be the last version of that we see as per the last agreement in the council meeting. So the new CEO monthly report will be as of next month.
Do CEO questions? Councillor Seymour.
Yeah, just on the contractor spot checks, Just want to get a grasp of 22% and the target's 90%.
Yeah, so thanks, Councillor. There is some significant work in that space around what we actually need to be capturing versus what we are. And again, with the focus on where we need to get to in the safety space, it's currently being reviewed at the moment. So.
Further questions? Councillor Bonaventure.
And just following on from that one, the one above the incidents reported on time, I know that's also dropping off. You know, our KPI says 90% is our target, and we're currently averaging 66. And could I ask just a couple of questions? Which one is lagging behind? Is it the staff incidents being reported or the contractor ones that are lagging behind more than the other? And of that sort of, what is the root cause behind that?
So in terms of lagging behind, it's the administrative process as opposed to the event actually occurring that's actually the lag at this stage. So when the officers are actually inputting the data as opposed to completing it. So we're just looking at what that looks like in terms of time at the moment.
So the reporting is happening within
The reporting is happening, but it's not just being logged correctly in the right amount of time.
Okay, thank you for that explanation.
Further questions? No further questions? Would somebody like to move the report's adoption? Councillor May moves, seconded by Councillor Englert. Councillor May.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. It's good to see the safety part of our conversation today and that refocus on safety that the CEO mentioned. So we look forward to changes in that format and changes of KPIs in that format as well. We also look forward to the change in the format of the reports coming forward in the next month. We have been, I suppose, reporting in the way that we have for many, many years, all of the years that I can remember in being part of council. So to have a new format and to have some new metrics around that will be something to look forward to. Our external funding grants are continuing to come in with just over $15 million for this month. And I think the highlight for this month was the Council and Community Day, where we visited through the invitation of BHP to the Saver project, which is the replacement of shiploader number 2 down at Hay Point. We were very much taken on a great tour right down to nearly the water's edge, you might as well say, to have a good look at the shiploader that was manufactured in Western Australia and shipped over here to Hay Point and loaded onto the dock in one piece. So a fantastic engineering effort, a lot of learnings there that they told us about. We also then went on to land care, and where we had an inspection of the native gardens there and the nursery there. We spoke to the coordinator and the chairperson of the Serena Land Care, as well as the lady that looks after the native gardens and the nursery. Enlightened us as to the expansion plans of Serena Land Care in the nursery area. We then went on to the Serena Hospital to have a look at the accessibility of pathways once the Serena Hospital is open. So that's foot walking pathways up to the hospital, and we had a look at what's in the pipeline there. And then we went and did a visual inspection of the Plain Creek walkway. And as we know, that the bats in Serena at Plain Creek, there have been a problem for quite some time. And we walked right down into Plain Creek along that walkway to see firsthand what is happening with the damage that they are doing, the rubbish that's accumulating on the pathway, and have a look at what sort of measures can be put in place to try and negate that happening. We've had some, I suppose, feedback from community saying that it's not a pleasant walk when it should be. You know, council's invested a lot of money in that walk, and we want our residents to be able to utilise that.
Thank you very much. Councillor May, speaker against. Are there any other speakers? I'll put that motion. Those in favour? Any against? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. 11.1.2, Councillor Conference Attendance. This is the Oceania National Olympic Committee AGM and Congress. The motion is that Councillor May be endorsed to attend. Somebody like to move? Councillor Englert moves, seconded by Councillor Townsend. Councillor Englert.
I didn't prepare anything that Councillor May would like to speak to it. I'm happy for her.
I didn't really prepare anything yet, but I will just say so. Look, I think it's a really important conference that we attend, given the 2032 Olympic Games. This is about trying to look forward, have a look into the process and what's going to happen. So I think our attendance, along with some officers I believe are attending as well, will be very important to bring back that information to our council.
Thank you very much. A speaker against? Any other speakers? No other speakers? I'll put that motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. The attendance of Councillor Jones at the LGAQ Coastal Leaders Forum is now presented as a report. Councillor Jones, would you like to just lead in with a discussion around that report at all? Or?
I was just going to move it and then
Okay,
speak.
all right, that's fine. Are there any questions?
Yeah,
Councillor
Councillor Dane's question. Yeah. I note that Kylie McFarlane, I think it is, from the Insurance Council of Australia spoke. She believes that our land use planning has a major role to play in the future and must include acts of the sea. So the question is, do you believe the ICA, which is the Insurance Council of Australia, will become more active in lobbying councils to change planning schemes in relation to developing further beachside areas or low-lying areas? Was that part of the conversation?
Definitely, that was through the chair. That was one of the givens from the Insurance Council of Australia, that councils on the east coast of Queensland will seriously have to look at their planning schemes to be able to ensure into the future that there's mitigation around coastal erosion as a result of climate change. So yeah.
You certainly read that into the report, but it's also a little bit of safeguarding, I think, for insurance claims in the future. So I think we're going to see a little bit more about that in years to come, I'm sure. Are there other questions at all for Councillor Jones? Councillor Jones, would you like to move your report be adopted? And do I have a second? Councillor Bonaventura. Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Worship. Coast to Coast and Coastal Leaders Forum have been very informative conferences for me to attend. It has given me so much information, and I know that some of this information, because our staff also attended these conferences, will certainly be contributing to the Coastal Hazard Adaptation Strategy, our CHAS, that we're in the midst of undertaking at the moment for the future of Mackay. My report is very comprehensive. I hope the notes there certainly give you a feel for what I experienced at the conference, but I guess at the end of it you will see that I have a couple of take-homes there, three in particular that are pertinent for me. One is certainly the reinsurance scheme. It was very, very interesting, and I guess another year or so and we'll hear all about that. The second was also about how important it is that, and I can't stress this, our CHAS is so, so important for our community. But lastly, Your Worship, my hope, and I know I have mentioned it briefly before, my hope is that the Queensland Government implement a similar report to this one that the Victorian State Government have used currently. It's a guide for local government decision makers, so very pertinent to our council and my colleagues around the climate change adaptation roles and responsibilities. So I really do hope that they take this on board and develop something like this, because it's a very good document. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thanks very much, Councillor Jones. Speaker against? Any other speakers? Councillor Ballard speaking for.
I'd like to take this opportunity not necessarily to speak about this report, but to speak about reports generally. I remember back in the previous term when I first came into council, I went on a conference with Councillor Bonaventura and we brought back a report with some recommendations. And one of the reasons I haven't subsequently attended things such as this was that nothing was gained by the money we spent, I believe. I then fought quite strongly. We had an agreement amongst us which didn't actually bring a lot of change, and then finally brought forward a motion that we have the reporting on these conferences, and we've gradually, since that was brought in, and I thank the councillors that voted for that, because since that's been brought in, we've started to actually gather a bank of knowledge for the money we've expended. Some of the reports have been, including this one today, have been absolutely outstanding, and I think that for anyone that wants to look back through and have a look at those reports, they are of value now to council. So there's things you're proud of in council, there's things you're not so proud of. One of the things I'm proud of is the fact that in my time, we've actually gone from going to a conference and coming back to actually bringing back a store of knowledge that's valuable not just to the council, but to our community. So we're actually getting value for money. And as I said, I thank everyone that's been involved in that.
Thanks, Councillor Ballard. Are there any other speakers? Other speakers? I'll put that motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. 11.2.1, the Community and Client Services Monthly Review for March. Acting Director.
Good morning, everyone. Across March, Council took part in Mackay 2023, with Council hosting Couple with Your Neighbour across 5 different locations within the region. Our community lifestyle program celebrated Harmony Day at the Mac, with over 50 people standing with a range of stalls, also celebrating all different cultures within Mackay. The Met has hosted over 8,700 guests with over 20 events, and there were no lost time injuries, and our budget was a positive variance due to savings and wages. If you have any questions, I'm happy to help.
Thanks, Acting Director. Are there questions for the Acting Director? No. Okay, Councillor Angler.
Thank you, Worship. I noticed in the community grants part, the SCS Mackay Regional Unit applied and got funding for filming and educational equipment. So my question is, like, this is a fully fledged program of council. This council had the first SES levy in the state, which is now the EM levy. I appreciate that it's spent differently now. And so my question is, you know, that's a highly competitive sort of area. Why aren't we funding the SES needs? Why are they having to come in my view, double dipping into a community to get what they need to do what they need to do when they're a program of council?
Yeah, that's probably a little bit broader than a question for the Acting Director. However, it's a valid question. We'll take it on board and come back.
In thinking about that question, I now have an interest, Your Worship, in how a breakdown in how the EM levy is now spent, and I'd like to see a copy of the SES budget.
Okay. We can do that.
Oh, yeah, I'm happy to give Council England just an answer in relation to why it was there, or not why it was there, why it was approved. It fitted the criteria. The committee as a whole felt it was a worthwhile expenditure. We too questioned the same question as you had, but it fitted the criteria and therefore was approved as a valuable assistance to the SES for filming things like preparedness for cyclones and flood events, etc., etc.
We trust that the committee's deliberations are as they should be. The broader question around appropriate levels of funding for the SES needs to be addressed, and we'll do that. Okay, any other questions? No other questions? Councillor Ballard.
I do have a question for the Director. I note that our Harmony Day attracted 50 people for a community morning tea. Now, as any other councillor would know, I'm critical of some of the events we hold. This event, however, I believe, even though it was very small scale, has the potential to be something that could be something a lot bigger and a lot more beneficial to our region and the people that live here. Are there any intentions to try to expand it, try to get a little bit more community participation, just try and pump the thing up? Because to be honest, to see, and I understand it's a very hot day and everything like that, but seeing 50 people there was great, but seeing a couple of hundred or 1,000 people at something like that, I think would be a tremendous thing. Are there any plans in that regard?
Acting Director.
Thank you, Your Worship. On the day itself, it had been raining, so we believe that may have dropped attendance. However, I guess I can go back to the team and have a discussion about how we can look at that event and that day and see if we can do something in addition to grow numbers. We can do that for sure.
I think it's fantastic.
Further questions? No further questions? Would somebody like to remove the reports of adoption? Councillor Townsend moves. Councillor Jones seconds. Councillor Townsend.
Thank you, Worship. I'd like to commence by passing on my congratulations to the Sport and Recreation Development Officer who secured a Brisbane swimming camp to attend and train at the Mackay Arc from the 14th to the 21st of May. This will provide a great boost to our local economy, with many businesses from the accommodation, hospitality and retail sectors benefiting from this event. Our libraries continue to support domestic and family violence awareness, with a red bench being installed at the Moranni Library in March, with a further red bench being received and waiting installation at the Dudley Denny City Library. Round 2 of the Community Grants Program saw a total funding allocation of $233,398.94 being awarded to worthy recipients in March. Diverse range of requests, from purchasing a fryer for a sporting canteen to zero turn mowers, to funding replacement of 2 cottage roofs for crisis accommodation, and the purchase of a sleep bus to assist with the region's housing crisis, have been made possible by the Grants Committee. A difficult task for the Community Grants Assessment Committee. However, it is a rewarding one to see such worthy recipients being granted funds to assist them to grow, thrive and provide better services to our community. Artspace hosted a memorial service on the 6th of March to remember and honour the wonderful life of nationally celebrated artist John Winter Pearson Pickup OAM, who passed away on January 30th at the tender age of 91 years. I was privileged to be one of the 85 community members to attend this celebration of John's life, which was a rich tapestry of art, radio and television work, including more than 40 years working for the ABC, where he retired from his role as Mackay manager. His legacy to the field of art, radio and television will be remembered and revered for many years to come. I wanted to highlight that Artspace also hosted an art and dementia test group session on the 10th of March. 20 people living with dementia and their family carers and care workers attended on the day, and the participants provided really positive feedback to the session. Key learnings from this program will be used to shape Artspace's Mackay's new Art and Memory public program, which is scheduled to begin in May. Having a mum who went through this insidious disease, I would have welcomed an opportunity to have involved her in a program that not only stimulated her mind, but gave her some enjoyment. So congratulations to all involved for bringing this wonderful program to life. Congratulations to the MEC for achieving 95% customer satisfaction. A massive thank you also to the volunteers who clocked up a total of 4,314 hours of work during March. And still on the MEC, thank you to the operations team who donated a number of old banquet chairs to Mackay Tennis Association as they celebrate their 100-year anniversary this year. This donation will help the association to make the most of their celebrations and create a memorable event for all. Council is encouraging our residents to have their say in the livability census to assist it to become the best region for livability and livelihood. And I'd just like to encourage our ratepayers to sign up for this project and reveal what matters most to them and their local community, and inform government planning for better outcomes. This is our region's residents' opportunity to have their say on how to help council achieve this vision. Finally, a reminder that the 2023 Rock, Paper, Scissors Art and Design Market has now opened for applications for stall holders and food vendors, and will be closing in May. So this is one of Mackay's most popular art and design market, and it's an opportunity to highlight our talented artists, makers and foodies of our region.
Thank you very much, Councillor Townsend. Speaker against. Any other speakers? Councillor Jones speaking for.
Yes, Your Worship. Just a couple of points for me that were interesting in the report. Page 107, recently launched findings from the Youth Out Loud 1,000 voices from our youth around the region, and it's an important document for council to plan for the future of the youth in our region. Since then, our staff have moved forward with educating the youth of the area on how to undertake events through the firecracker workshop. And then on page 108, coming up soon is the Young Mayors program about to start up. Also note on page 112 that I see John T has been successful in getting a RAD of funding to support his career. I've seen him a number of times, as we all have, at performing at a number of events around town. So he's certainly one to watch out for as an already rising star in our eyes, and I look forward to seeing where his passion takes him. Page 134 and 135, just wanted to give a shout out to the MEC team. And I have to say that I'm sure that the tech team have had to save the day, no doubt on more than one occasion in their working career. But that can only happen if they keep their knowledge current, and I see that the lighting techs were able to attend training in Sydney where they were educated on how to work with intelligent lighting. So that's investing in our staff, and it's really important for us to do that. Page 150, vector control. I know that our community really don't know much about vector control, but they've been out treating many hectares throughout the region, and our community wouldn't really know much about our quiet achievers that do that. Page 153 again, 50% of illegal dumping is cleaned up by council, which is a cost to ratepayers. So I can only encourage anyone that sees someone illegally dumping to report it to council. That's it, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Councillor Jones. Are there any other speakers? Councillor Bonaventura speaking, Paul.
Well, just one comment. I'd just like to follow on from the director. Started with the cuppa with your neighbour. And look, those mornings were well attended and was a great opportunity for locals from Seaforth, Midgepoint, Mackay, Grasstree and Pinnacle to meet each other, our community development staff and the odd councillor or two. I believe the mornings achieved their goal of starting conversations and making connections. On the lighter side, we did gate crash a 6-year-old's birthday party in Pinnacle, but in the end he didn't mind because he and his little friends took home a couple of extra frisbees that the staff had there, so it worked out well for them too. And just could I ask the director to pass on behalf of all councillors who attended, our congratulations and thanks for the effort that staff put in to organise each of those events. So it was very, very well received by all of us. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Bonaventura. Any other speakers? No other speakers. I'll put the motion then. Those in favour? Any against? The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Development Services, 11.3.1, the Mackay Regional Council Local Government Infrastructure 5-Year Plan Review. CEO, as the Director, would you like to just recap this, Director, or is there anything you need to add?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. So Council's Local Government Infrastructure Plan is required legally to be reviewed by the 1st of July 2023. That review has been undertaken as outlined in this report, and there was also a briefing held with councillors about this. So as a result, there's a process that we need to follow now in terms of closing out that review process and also then initiating an amendment to the Local Government Infrastructure Plan as identified through the review.
Okay, so there has been briefings, as you know, councillors. I think this report is fairly well straightforward. Are there questions? No questions? Would somebody like to move the report's adoption? Councillor Englert moves. Councillor Townsend seconds. Councillor Englert.
Thank you, Worship. The Director said most of what needs to be said. The original plan was developed in 2018. By 2020, the staff are already aware of potential amendments that could be made. We've been briefed as stated, but the good things about the amendments, it'll focus on tourism development to broaden the scope of applicable uses in the region, increase concessions available to childcare centre development, and also, importantly, increasing incentives for housing diversity in the current...
I think you might be on the wrong one. You've got the wrong one, Councillor. Councillor, you're talking to the next one.
Well, I'm just going to sit down and shut up, man.
It was good. You can save it for the next one.
I was paying attention at some point, but something must have happened.
Right. So
which one are we on?
The Local Government Infrastructure Plan, the 5-year plan.
I got no idea.
Okay.
I started on that one and then went on to the other one. No, I'm just going to leave it at what the Director said now, man. Thanks.
Thank you. Speaker against? Are there any other speakers? I'll put the motion and those in favour? Any against? The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, now we'll move on to the Mackay Regional Policy Review for Facilitating Development. This has been the subject of briefings to Council, of course, and this is the report for adoption today. So,
I think we've covered it, Mayor.
Are there questions around this report? Would somebody like to move the report's adoption?
No.
No.
Yeah.
I think you've
Yep.
already sort of moved it. Councillor England, is there a second? Councillor Mann seconds. Councillor England, did you like to complete your speech?
Yeah, sure. I wasn't calling it a speech, I was calling it notes. But and I seem to have misplaced half of them right now. But as I was saying, it's looking at more at broadening tourism development within the region, increased concessions available to childcare centre development, and importantly, looking at incentives for housing diversity, which is important under the current climate. So what it shows is council's doing what it can do at its most to try and alleviate some of the problems. It's not a quick fix, but it's the best we can do under the legislation and the timing.
Thank you. Speaker against? Speaking against. Councillor Jones speaking against.
Thank you, Worship. For 3 years I've approved these fee waivers, but today I vote against. This policy was started 10 years ago with the intention to be around for a couple of years to start our economy going again after being in a downturn for a few years. If we made it easy for developers to develop, then that would enable builders to employ people, buy materials and build houses, which all assisted in our economy. I get that this policy has now morphed a little over the years and is specific to developing our community, which is needed, but all of these fee waivers are at the expense of ratepayers. Regarding the proposed amendments, I have no problem with introducing the delegation to allow council to be more efficient. I'm not sure waiving a $300 to $900 food licence / trade waste fee is going to make or break the decision to develop or not. But to our ratepayers, every bit counts. New childcare centres are certainly greatly needed, and I have no issue with the increase for not-for-profits, but why do we give an increase to the commercial operators? Increasing the incentives under Schedule 7 for housing diversity, for me, is a double-edged sword. I know that this is not about houses, it's about affordable housing for me, and Mackay prices just keep rising again. So what discounts that, basically come back to the buyer, because the developer got a concession, they get no discount, the buyer gets nothing. They just have to pay the fee of what the building is that they're buying. If the majority of our housing stock is being built is houses, which I know are not covered in this policy, when we need more affordable housing, like flats and units, we're obviously not helping our residents who need affordable housing. Schedule 7, housing diversity, has been in this policy for many, many years, and no one has really taken up the opportunity before, so how will it be any different now? This policy needs to be gone as far as I'm concerned. We need to do something different. We're not in a downturn anymore, and for these reasons I'm voting against the policy. Thank you.
Very much, Councillor Jones. Speaker Paul.
Right to respond.
Are there any other speakers? Councillor Bella, are you speaking?
I'm speaking for. I've been critical of the facilitating development policy for a very long time, and I still am. The reason I am speaking for it and voting for it is in the hope that Schedule 7 actually does something in the long term to provide more housing for people that require it. I take on board Councillor Jones's comments because they are my feelings generally, but I'm willing to give it another go. However, if anyone goes out there and says that this is going to cure our problem with homelessness and a lack of accommodation, I think they are completely being disingenuous. This is not going to result in one roof over one head for one night anytime within 2 years. And I've been trying, with the help of a number of other councillors, for 12 months, well, no, 9 months, to get this council to actually move on something. And in that 9 months, we've had people down at the mouth of the river living there in what can only be termed squalor and getting eaten alive by insects. We have not provided one roof over one head for one night, except for the community grants group. And I congratulate them on contributing $30,000, or approving $30,000 to a sleep bus. But that's not the answer. So if anyone takes this opportunity to pat themselves on the back and say that we've done anything for this problem, you're kidding yourself. What have we done? We sent someone to a round table, square table, triangular table, whatever you want to call it. I call it a talk fest. What did that talk fest come up with? We want $30,000 for another study. $30,000 that our community grants group gave that will actually help put a roof over someone's head for a short period. Another study. And this study is not for another 3 months.
Point of order has been called. What's the point of order?
This deliberation that Councillor Bella is going down has got nothing to do with the facilitating development policy.
Relevance.
That is for us.
You need to make it relevant, Councillor Bella, to this particular, you're speaking to this motion.
I feel it's particularly relevant. This scheme, can I explain myself? This scheme goes towards, and this section of the scheme goes towards helping us house over 500 people in our region, and I'm speaking to that. And I am saying that this in itself will assist in 2 years' time. And I'm warning that we need to do something in between, which I think is intricately related. However, if you feel that I have nothing further to add, we talk about livability and livelihood. It is definitely not very livable for a significant proportion of our community. I'll leave it at that.
Thanks, Councillor Bella. Are there other speakers? Councillor May.
Thank
speaking
you.
For.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. As we know, the policy's been around since about 2015, and we have reviewed this on a number of occasions. We have consulted with the development industry, we've consulted with a numerous array of people to be able to make sure that we're keeping pace with the ever-changing economy in which we have seen ourselves develop over the last 5 to 10 years, basically. And unless we keep reviewing it and keeping pace with that development and the changes in the economic climate, and as we know, we've gone from boom to bust to back on the rise again, and that creates all sorts of pressures. Council's only got a certain amount of levers at its discretion to be able to work in this area, and this policy enables that. So let's vote for it.
Thank you. Speaker against. Are there any other speakers? Councillor Seymour speaking for.
I've got it here. I'm an advocate for first-time buyers, and like this here revisited to me lots of concessions. Like we live in Quilpie Shire Council, they give $20,000 to entice people to build there. To me now, the boom came here, and everyone knows that when the first home buyers grant was in, so it brought influx of workers in. But now we got the workers, but we got no housing for them. This here, I like to see a council in future, because developers get good concessions to develop. And with a partnership with the council and developers, of coming up with a first home buyers grant, that would encourage people to build, especially the younger ones too. So they're our future, they're our workers, and that's how the economy's going. So I like to see it. I'm in favour of everything here, but would like the grants concessions revisited if they could be done. So.
Thanks, Councillor Seymour. Are there any other speakers? Other speakers? Do you want to sum up, Councillor England?
Thank you, Richard. This policy does not address all of the problems of the day. The two best times to plant a tree or implement a policy, 25 years ago or today. Developers built this building that we're currently in, and 90% of all of the things built in this region. We know it's more expensive to be a built developer in this region than in other regions, those close and far from us. And we have approved more lots than is necessary right at the moment. There are empty lots out there right now, and nobody's building on them for a whole range of different issues. There's not the tradespeople available, there's the supply chain issues, there's the cost of materials and labour. What we are in competition with every other region. We can either sit on our hands and just let this organically decline, and then therefore decline our rates base, which ultimately increases the rates burden on all of our ratepayers, or we can actually go somewhere to try and do one little thing that convinces a developer to build one more home here, one more child centre here, or anything that can help us in the future. And it's not just about today, it is about the future. Who knows how better or worse things will be. The policy is there because we are in competition with every other region. Every other region has the same problems. Those who do not act will suffer, and those that act will get further than them.
Thank you very much, Councillor England. I'll put that motion then. Those in favour? Those against? Councillor Jones is recorded against. The motion is carried. Let's move on to the receipt of petitions. 12.1, the petition for planting of turtle nest shading trees at Seaforth. Now, we're quite limited with what we can do with these. The officer's recommendation is here that the petition be received. Is there any question about this? Okay. Would somebody like to move then the petition be received? Councillor Jones moves, seconded by Councillor Mann. Councillor Jones, do you wish to speak? Okay, I'll put that motion. Those in favour? Any against? Motion's carried, thank you. Unanimously. 12.2, a response now to the petition of the planting of turtle nest shading trees at Seaforth. So this was a petition, a 4-page petition, provided to council for the information. Are there any questions around this? The officer's recommendation, of course, that the head petitioner be advised that Reef Cashmans has decided not to progress with the turtles shade planting project in Seaforth. I think we're all abreast of this one, aren't we? Are there questions at all? No questions? Somebody like to move the reports of adoption. Councillor Jones moves the reports of adoptions. Councillor Townsend seconds. Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Your Worship. I actually have quite a lot of notes here and I have scribbled out a lot of them, but the short story of this is that while I vote for this response to the petition, I am actually disappointed. As it's stated in the report, the project actually has merit. But it seems that Reef Catchments have failed to consult appropriately as a contractor, and here we are with Reef Catchments who were successful in grants from the government to be able to do shade for nesting turtles in the area. I see that now as a wasted opportunity. So I do look forward to seeing what else can come out of our things like our CCAT, our CHAS, as nature-based solutions to protect and enhance turtle nesting in our area. Thank you, Worship.
Speaker against? Are there any other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Motion's carried unanimously. 12.3, the petition change to street name of McCarthy Street at Hay Point. So we've received a petition on this. The officer's recommendation is that it be received and referred to the CEO for a report to be prepared to come back to council to identify the issues within the petition. Are there questions? Councillor May.
I'm just wondering why we would do that, given that we've just had a notified motion and we've gone through the consultation process of that motion to correct the spelling of the street name. So I'm just wondering why we would, be taking this on board and preparing a report. I'm wondering what the conclusion of that report might be.
CEO.
As with any matter, motion or otherwise, since that has been carried, the community has now submitted a further petition which meets council's criteria and definition of a petition. So as an organisation we'd have to consider what that is. You can see there's a considerable amount of response from it. So we would, as with any other business, have to consider that.
We are very limited in what we can do with the receipt of petitions. And I think this one, the recommendation of the office, of the officer's concerns, sound. Is that all we can do? Take on your point, Deputy Mayor, we've already had a resolution of council, but now we've got a petition, so we've got to receive it.
Happy to move, Your Worship.
Okay, moved by Councillor Jones, seconded by Councillor Mann. Councillor Jones?
No, Your Worship, I think it just has to go through the process.
Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried unanimously. 12.4, the petition for the bitumen sealing of Gravino's Road at Victoria Plains. And once again, the officer's recommendations have been received, and further that the outcome of the petition request be considered in a separate report. We'll come to council.
So moved.
Councillor Bonaventura moves, Councillor Hassan seconds. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. Right. We've got some tenders to consider right now. We'll move on to the tenders on the mountain bike trail. Thank you very much to Councillor Seymour, Councillor Jones for declaring a perceived conflict of interest. We'll deal with tender 049, the Pioneer Valley Mountain Bike Trail Stage 1. Director, is there anything you want to deliver on this one before we ask questions?
Yeah, I'm happy to say something, Your Worship. Obviously a very exciting time for the council and staff. We've been waiting for this for a while. This is one of 3 tenders today before the council meeting on the stage 1 of the mountain bike trail. So 2023-049 is the bike trails themselves. I will say a lot of work has been done by staff to put together the tender documentation and do the full assessment, and it was a difficult decision because although it's a typical tender process, we have really aimed at expertise in mountain bike trail design and building on this particular package of work. And so we are recommending World Trail for this particular one, which is not the lowest tenderer. So as I said, that was a difficult decision and one that wasn't taken lightly by council, but we do really believe that the best outcome will be the award of the tender to World Trail, given we are looking for a world-class mountain bike destination for this park. So we do really think that it will be the best outcome for all for this particular package of work.
Thanks, Director. Questions? Councillor Bob Ventura?
Just the one, just how many kilometres of trail is it approximately for the value?
Yeah, for this package, Your Worship, it's approximately 16 trails in total, about 13.5 kilometres of trails.
Thank you.
Further questions? No further questions? Like you, Director, this is fantastic to see come to our table at this stage. For stage 1 of the Pioneer Valley Mountain Bike Trail for the tender, would somebody like to move? Councillor England moves, seconded by Councillor Townsend. Councillor England.
Thank you, Your Worship. We have come a long way, haven't we? 2016 was the first visit to Derby and the meeting with Tim Watson, the CEO of Dorset Regional Council, which then led us down a track, to this point. Interestingly led by a local individual that set out a prospectus that this council viewed at a briefing and then made the decision to go to business case, which turned out to be pretty good in itself. Even though we're doing this in 2 stages, this is some way to just get the ball rolling, and even though it does seem like it's taken a long time, it's viewed by people who know in the business around the country that we have probably done it the correct way in taking this time to make sure that we get it right. It was great to see 3 well-known tenders come forward for this, which means that there is interest in our area and they see the potential of it. So on this occasion it's gone to World Trail, not only known well in Australia but as per the name around the world. So I'm excited to see what they come up with, and I congratulate the officers on coming up with 3 quality tenders to apply for this project.
Thanks very much, Councillor England. Speaker against. Are there any other speakers? I echo Councillor England's sentiments. Very exciting and a great start to a long journey so far. For the motion, those in favour? Any against? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. Tender number 50, the Pioneer Valley Mountain Bike Finch Hatton Trailhead. Is this the one that stands as apart as a trailhead town? Director?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Tender 2023-050 is the trailhead. As you mentioned, it is attached to the township of Finch Hatton, so it's a very important piece of infrastructure, not only to anchor mountain bike trails, but also to add value to the entire valley, which it will do. We did only get 1 tenderer in this one, but a very good tender, a very thorough tender, and we're very comfortable with the recommendation to award to JMac Construction.
Thanks, Director. Questions? Councillor Bonaventura.
Just need the Director to confirm for me that the tender does include the installation of the Concurry rail turnaround.
Director?
Yes, Your Worship.
Does.
Thank you.
Okay.
I will add, if that's okay, Your Worship, it does include all of the scope items that
That
have
were in
previously
the-
been talked about with council and presented to council.
Thank you.
Excellent. No further questions? All right, would somebody like to move the report's adoption? Councillor Englert moves, Councillor Bonaventura seconds. Councillor Englert.
Thank you, Worship. I have been on a bandwagon of high quality product, and I've got to say this is beyond my initial expectations. As the Director and yourself mentioned, the point of difference in this project is it's a trail town. It's not just a mountain bike recreational facility. It is amenity that it's also supposed to benefit the locals of Finch Hatton in the valley, which it will. This trailhead is a significant piece of the puzzle, and when people come and visit, they will definitely be telling their friends and family that it is one of the best trailheads that they've ever encountered, because I've been around and seen a few of them before I put the weight on. And this will be an outstanding representation of the effort we're putting into this project.
Yeah. Speaker against? Are there any other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried unanimously. Another tremendous step forward. And to complete the triumvirate, the Pioneer Valley Finch Hatton pump track. Director?
Yeah, thank you, Worship. 2023051 is the pump track, as you mentioned. It is located in the actual trailhead itself, but we did put that out as a separate tender. A little bit different with this one. We went with a budget-based outcome, and we asked for a design. In the tender submissions that we received back, we were pleased to see 4 submissions, all very, very good submissions and all very, very good designs that came back with those submissions. What we did do is qualify with all the tenderers how much we got in that design for those tenders. In other words, the length of track, the quantity of asphalt that ended up being in the surfacing itself, which are obviously a couple of the key components of the materials that go into it. And again, a difficult decision for the evaluation panel, but pleased to make a recommendation for Bike Tracks Australia.
Okay, questions? Councillor Englert.
Thank you, Worship. I'm making the assumption that we're confident that Bike Tracks Australia's 400 metres of asphalt line track will be of the same quality as 230 metres made by the other submitters for approximately the same price. And so I'm making that assumption, so I'm happy with that. But I'm also assuming that there's a higher operational cost, because 200 metres is about industry standard. This is longer than industry standard. We are confident that we can handle what I perceive to be a higher operational costs over the years as a result of that.
Director?
Your Worship, I'm not sure we'll have higher operation costs because we're confident that the requirements we put out in the tender is being met by all 4 tenderers. So yeah, we're very confident we're going to get a full asphalt sealed track, and the quality of this build will be consistent with what we've asked for in the requirements. So yeah, we did spend quite a lot of time, Your Worship, going back with tenderers and making sure that what was in their tender was going to meet the requirements and best practice for that industry, and we are satisfied that they will.
Last question.
Yes.
I just want to be clear that this pump track, I'm aware of the backgrounds of all of the tenderers, and I just want to be clear that this facility is to teach mountain bike users how to accelerate off trees, rocks, tree roots and bumps, and other wheel devices can use it. It's not a multi-use facility that mountain bike users can pump on.
Director?
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that one, because we did make that clear in the tender documents that first went out with the submissions in February. We then made it clear again in our responses that we sent back to all 4 tenderers when we were clarifying what they were replying to us, that it was primarily for mountain bike use and the development of mountain bikers, and not primarily for other wheel sports, and that is very clear, and we're confident that this tenderer understands that. And if it's of any concern still, we can make that even more clear before we get to final design, but that, in my mind, we're satisfied that that's clear, as are the panel members.
Thank you, Worship.
Any further questions? No further questions. Would somebody like to move the report's adoption? Councillor Anglin moves, seconded by Councillor Mann.
Thank you, Worship. This is a fundamentally key part to the project and not always put in the same place as a trailhead, but on this occasion it is, and I think that actually will add to the amenity. Pump tracks are a fundamental part of mountain biking. It's a training facility for mountain bikers to come down off the slopes and practice their craft, but also it's a great place for younger mountain bikers to learn the craft, and also it can service kids, local kids who have a scooter. So it will be multi-use, but if it fits the scope, it's really important that the kids in that region will have this thing that they can use in the afternoons, and kids from all over the region. So I'm really pleased to see that we're getting a bigger than normal one, and that it's located in the trailhead. And like I said, can't wait to lose some weight and give it a go.
Speaker against? Are there any other speakers? I'll put the motion then. Those in favour? Any against? The motion is carried unanimously. So CEO, can you pass on and to the director, to the staff? This is a fairly momentous occasion where we've let 3 tenders to kick off the mountain bike track, Pioneer Valley mountain bike track, and congratulations for all the work that's gone on. It's been a long journey. We've had lots of public consultation. We've taken lots of deputations, but the enthusiasm and I suppose the passion that we've always seen around the table for this project has now resulted in, I think, if these tenders come to fruition the way they're written, will be an absolutely outstanding addition to the top end of the valley. So thanks very much. All right. (13.4) Rafunda Street and Goldsmith Street Road Improvement Project. This is tender number 28. Are there questions? No questions? Somebody like to move the reports of adoption? Councillor Bonaventura, seconded by Councillor Hassan. You're all stunned. That was the last 3, I can see. Councillor Bonaventura.
Just to say that at 671,000, the Sallow Constructions are the successful tenderer, and I might be doing a councillor. Am I doing a councillor Engler there? Am I one step ahead of myself?
I think you might be.
I'm on the next one, yes.
You're on the next one.
Welcome to the club.
Okay. So
I'm still happy to move the Rafunda Street one to you, I should say.
It's 600, it wasn't 600,000.
That is the correct one.
Don't doubt yourself.
Oh, right. Sorry. Sorry. Okay, it's at the top. Okay. You may continue, Councillor Bonaventura.
Thank you. No, I just think it's a good result for council. It was part of a lump sum and remeasurable schedule of rates. So I'm happy to support the tender.
Thanks very much, Councillor Bonaventura. Speaker against? Any other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried unanimously. The culvert rehabilitation package at tender number 41. Are there questions at all around this one? Would somebody like to move the report's adoption? Councillor Bella moves, seconded by Councillor Townsend. Councillor Bella.
I'm very happy to see this tender awarded. You'll note that the last couple of tenders we've had are over the expenditure. I'm always happy to see rural roads, especially ones that get a considerable amount of traffic, such as these do, get the attention they deserve. Too often we worry about the accumulation of assets rather than the maintenance of assets. And I think ultimately you can accumulate yourself into oblivion if you don't keep your maintenance going. Out there we've got collapsed culverts under roads, pipes, which people may not think are a great thing, but that poor drainage leads to, well, the collapse itself, damage to the road surface, poor drainage, seepage under the road, which further damages the road surface. These are things that need to be a priority. As you can see from the cost of this one, this priority is not going to come cheaply. And I think this is something we've got to come to terms with sooner rather than later. But I think this is a very good thing. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Bowers. Speaker against? Any other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried unanimously. Blue Water Lagoon resurfacing at tender number 047A. Any questions? Somebody like to move the report's adoption? Councillor Jones moves, seconded by Councillor Hassan. Councillor Jones.
I have nothing written, Your Worship. Blue Water Lagoon is very close to my heart, being that I was instrumental in helping this come to our region. And, you know, here we are many, many years down the track. Everything that council owns, we have to maintain in some way, shape or form for the rest of its days, as CEO constantly reminds us. So, yes, this is just making sure that it's here for the future generations of Mackay, and happy to move it.
Thank you very much. Speaker against? Any other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. That's all the tenders. No notified motions today. Public participation. Mr. Larkman, welcome. Thanks very much for bearing us out for the length of the meeting. Oh, you can do it from there, Mr. Larkman.
I'm not very steady on my feet.
All right, okay.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor and councillors.
3 minutes.
I have some photos here I'd like to make available to you, first of all. Okay, I wish to take this opportunity to bring to light once again the deplorable state of the eastern end of Mackay Street guttering. I have on a number of occasions over the past few years approached the council to read this problem, always resulting in the same standard answer: sorry, it has not been budgeted for. The antiquated slab crossings hinder proper maintenance, care and operation of these gutters. The use of road sweepers is unsuitable, extremely insufficient, an absolute waste of money and time and manpower. They are unable to do the job they were designed to do, only being able to access overall 60% of the gutters, and in a lot of cases 0%. They push debris under the slabs, excuse me, and under the slab crossings, creating blockages and obstructing water flow, resulting in massive, up to times 2 metre water across the road, as in the pictures, and across the road surface. To do a proper job cleaning it takes a sweeper, truck, a compressor, a work crew of 3 to 4 men. All right? To blast out accumulated debris and mud onto the roadway, enabling the sweeper to do the job unhindered. An expensive exercise to say the least, we all know that. I have on a number of occasions reported these shortcomings, but a head in the sand attitude prevails, and the sweeper is again and again deployed to do a task it is unable to accomplish efficiently. It's not only Mackay streets, but the entire CBD is scruffy and ill-maintained. Take a drive around, medium strips are unmown, and tufts of grass grow out of cracked concrete at every intersection. Derelict, unkept buildings, such as the old Commonwealth Bank, being a prize example of neglect. Is this the Mackay we wish to present to visitors and tourists? I think not. To read a report of multi-million-dollar projects being proposed for mountain bike tracks at Finchhatton, for one example, leads to the question, should we not look and maintain our existing infrastructure first and foremost? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Larkin.
Okay.
We'll ask the CEO to update you with the programs that he's actually instituting right now to make sure we address some of those problems that you've identified in terms of the city streets. The broader problem the CEO will address with you in terms of Mackay Street. So thank you very much for being here. Late business. No late business. We have just one item of confidential nature.
I'd like to move into confidential.
Do you want to consider it in confidentiality? Okay, would somebody like to move that the council be closed to the public? Councillor